Yo, riders, welcome back to another week in the passenger seat. Woo! Yes. Hope you all had a wonderful week. It has been super pretty event filled. Not event, but there were a couple of things this week. But you know how we do. We're gonna hop right into our reaction, where we talk about the latest episode of whatever we're watching. Obviously, we've been following along with JJK season 3, so we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll get into our typical nerd news. So make sure to hop in the ride with us, and yeah, let's get started. Let's talk about JJK season 3, episode 11. So this episode was jam-packed with a lot of cool stuff. Starting with obviously where we left off, which was Megumi versus Reggie. Megumi did his Chimera Shadow Garden, domain expansion, and everything was just action-packed from the beginning, right? They started that crazy fight sequence where Tengen once again is given this extreme narration where we're trying to follow along with subtitles, and there's so many things going on in the background. Now, here's the thing, and I was thinking about it, I was reflecting upon it, and I was saying to myself, like, damn, you know that, Jesus Christ, I hope that my mic doesn't pick this up, but the roosters are fucking going nuts in the background. Problem of living on an island. Anyways, so what I was saying was, you know, what I was reflecting upon is the fact that obviously, it being for Japanese audiences, they're, watching the show and just listening as we would if it was dubbed.
I know, that's what I thought about too.
For them, it's a normal thing, versus for us, we're complaining about it. It's like, we shouldn't be complaining about it. It's like the same way that we consume media once it's dubbed, it's the same thing for them once it just comes out, because they don't need to go through the subtitles. So
yeah,
for those of you, going crazy over, wow, they're doing so much explanation, take a beat, take a step back and think, okay, this is for this audience first. Once it's dubbed, then you can go ahead and rewatch it and not have to read the subtitles. Okay. Now that being said, the first thing we see is that obviously Reggie does a hollow wicker basket. Just kind of say that 5 times really fast. And it's like a older version of a simple domain in essence. And the thing is, it didn't work for shit, but that's because Megumi's domain expansion isn't fully completed, so it doesn't have like this guaranteed hit or kill effect. So the wicker basket was just like, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, which is protecting you from guaranteed hits. So that was pretty interesting. We got a couple of scenes where Megumi does Kaihunshi no Jutsu, and he does the fucking shadow clones.
That's actually true.
Yeah. Even did a little bit of the Naruto run in the background.
The toad summonings.
Yeah, the toad summonings, dude. All the references. And, we get that, obviously, that really cool scene where Reggie's getting the shit beat out of him.
Oh, yeah.
And then Reggie, like, obviously, Reggie being this tactical genius, he spawns 3 cars into Megumi's domain, and it's because he realized, well, it was a hunch that Megumi was carrying the weight of whatever was in his shadows. And so Reggie thought, well, if I add 3 cars to the mix, he's just going to be pinned down, which effectively was the case. Then obviously we get the reveal that Megumi's like, oh, dude, my shadow's not just below me, it's above me too. So watch this. And then he sends the elephant out. And then they're both in this contest of who's going to support, who's going to stand the longest with that much weight. We had that moment where Reggie was trying to do the contractual whatever. I forgot what it's called. reconstruction or something, and then he gets sucked down into Megumi's shadow for a little bit. And if he didn't have the cars, which he didn't give a command to bring him back up, Reggie would have been in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So Reggie comes back up. Then he does the contractual, whatever the fuck it's called, brings down a whole house.
Yeah.
Whole ass house. Now that scene was really dope because the OST in the background, the feeling, the weight of it all, and then the house coming down and all the things in the house like sort of shifting, moving around as it's coming down because of gravity was really dope.
The only thing I thought of that scene was they give you a receipt when you buy a house.
That's I thought about that too.
I was like, what?
I thought about that too. I was like, wait, what the heck? I don't know. I guess we don't question these things.
Yeah.
Now, we had the house come down, and then right before the house comes down, Megumi decides to just, I guess, it was a weird sort of transition because it's like Megumi, I guess, it's a weird thing because then Reggie was in the shadow or something, and then Megumi was like holding him down, but then the domain released, and then they were in the pool below the gymnasium, and then the hole had poked a hole through the gymnasium into the pool area. The sequence of events for me is a little bit confusing. So writers, if you don't mind, if you know a little bit more than we do, please go ahead
It was
and let
almost
us
like
know down in the comments below.
it was almost like he could feel it, like that, like he could
Yes.
well, even in his domain, he could feel that this part was breaking. So he tried to sort of just like let go so it could break. It was weird.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but it's just like the sequencing of things happening because it's like house is coming down. Let's say it touches shadow. The moment it touches the shadow, Megumi's going to get crushed unless he releases his domain. So he would have to release the domain before the house crashes into the floor. But they had that slight scene where Reggie was in the shadow, and then he's like giving him a chokehold from behind, and then they appear in the pool. I don't know. It was just a weird
Well,
sequencing of
only
events.
Reggie appears in the pool.
No, only Reggie appears in the pool. But remember, right before he goes in the pool, they're in Megumi's shadow for a moment, and Megumi like does that chokehold from behind.
It could be a shadow clone.
The point is, if Megumi released his domain, how are they still in the shadow? Like, why that moment of Reggie floating and then him trying to give him a chokehold? You know what I mean? Because if he released the domain because of the house, it doesn't really make sense sequentially.
Hey, there's a guy who throws out receipts and things come of it, so anything can happen.
I guess. Anyways, I'm too hung up on that issue, I suppose. Now, after that, we get one of the most beautiful scenes, I think. And it was them obviously Reggie getting out of the pool. His receipts are soaked. Then Megumi comes up, and they're both sort of assessing the situation. And Reggie's like, "Okay, Megumi doesn't have demon dogs. He's basically, exhausted. I don't have receipts, so I guess we're going mano a mano. Let's see what happens here." And so they walk up to each other very slowly, and then when they finally get to each other, that hand-to-hand scene was insane, and it only lasted like 3 to 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like the choreo for that fight scene was nuts, and then Demon Dog comes from behind, woof, and fucking rips Reggie's shoulder and half of his face off. And it was just like, holy shit. So Reggie obviously is, about to die. He does a cool thing, which is give Megumi his points. But just because Reggie, thought it would be amusing, and I don't know if you caught on to this, but Reggie cursed Megumi with last words. We know that in JJK, last words are a big deal because they're a curse. So if anything, if you didn't really pay too much mind to it, I guess my thing would I'd say go back just to that scene and see what Reggie tells him, what Reggie curses him with, and then just keep that in mind. Now, after that whole scene with Megumi and Reggie, then we go on to one of the next, for me, one of the best scenes, and it's Takaba
I
versus this other dude.
I love that guy. I I think he's gonna be number two so far for me. Toto will always be number one, but this dude is so funny, dude. The uniqueness of this guy is so crazy. It's so funny.
Yeah. I love that scene where he's just in the apartment complex chilling, having like a
Yeah,
little bit
that
of a
tea,
tea,
bro.
and then the explosion's coming up. He's like, he got burned with the tea.
Yo.
And then the other dude's like, did I get him? And then he pops up on the side like, no, you did it.
Yeah, dude. It's so funny, and the part where the dude's like the little in the middle. They didn't even fight because the little
Yeah.
creature pops out and he's like, "Oh yeah, Reggie's dead," and then the guy's like, "Oh, well, I'm going home," and then the guy's like, "Okay, take a bath."
Take a bath, brush your teeth. And then obviously after Takaba asks for the other dude, I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. His
Yeah,
name was like kind
whatever.
of
That guy.
weird. But he Takaba asks him for his points. And the dude's like, no, like go screw yourself or like die or whatever. Shine. And the Tengen, we get the explanation for Takaba's power.
Dude.
We're gonna get into that in just a midget. Just
Oh
because
my god.
I want to be fully focused when I hear your reaction on that.
Yeah.
Fast forward into Sendai Colony. We're done with this, the first colony that we were at. And in Sendai Colony, obviously, we're getting narrated about these 4 players who are above all the rest in that colony, and they're at a stalemate because none of them want to, I guess, expend fighting each other until one gets brought down
Yeah.
by Yuta. And that was such a cold scene,
I
dude, because
actually
they were just
forgot he was there.
yeah, right. And because it was such a cold scene because they were like, oh yeah, these 4 people are just chilling because nobody wants to bring up a fight, I guess, because it'd be a problem, right, to start up a fight, and then they would lose ground if they started to
Mhm.
fight. And then Yuta was like, nah, fuck this, like I want this smoke. And then he came in. I thought that was pretty awesome.
It makes the next episode very exciting because
Mm,
when you obviously I don't know if people pay attention to this, but at the end they show you a little bit of like a preview of what's gonna happen next, and the fact that it's a
mhm.
Utah episode, I'm like, oh shit, it's gonna go down. They're gonna fight
Yes.
hard, bro.
Yes, dude. Now we can roll back to Takaba's power, and I'm gonna leave the floor to you
Yo,
here, and I'll just
his when and obviously for those of
Tengen.
you just listening to our recap, when Tengen's explaining like, oh yeah, by the way, Takaba, his ability is basically to anything. It's like manifesting, but it's like anything that he believes is funny or comedic, he can make into reality. But the catch is, it's almost like he doesn't realize that. It's almost like
Yeah,
he doesn't realize his own power, bro. I
he
was
doesn't
like,
know how his power works. Yeah,
as soon as they said like, "Oh, he could rival Gojo," I was like, "Nah, no, 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 bro, what the fuck, yo?" I was like, I was really excited because this, for me, that's a really exciting character. I like him a lot, and his ability is so broken. And I know that all my comic book nerds who probably watched this made the reference to the mask. Um, I know the mask.
mm,
Everyone recognizes the mask as Jim Carrey, but in the comics, the mask that is his ability as well. So we all know that in the comics, the mask is broken.
yeah,
It's actually, and he can realize the things that he can do. This guy can't even realize them yet. He's gonna be such an exciting character. I mean, you probably already know all the spoilers, but I feel like he's gonna be such an exciting character to me. He's so
yeah,
funny.
dude. So the thing that's crazy about Takaba is the fact that, and the reason why, because I bet there's a lot of people who are going, that dude can't rival Gojo, until you realize if Takaba thought it was funny that he could hit Gojo despite his limitless
Yeah.
and thought that was funny, that's what's gonna happen. And that's what's crazy about Takaba's power. And the only way they could dampen him down is by saying he doesn't have a clue. He doesn't have an inkling of
Yeah.
what his power is about.
And he's like too OP that they had to put a clutch. And the crazy part is you realize that like he's a superhero. He's a nice guy because he grew up with Half Man.
Mhm.
Imagine if he was a psychopath,
Oh, dude, it would be
bro.
that would be crazy. That would be crazy. Now, obviously, I thought the episode was fantastic. There were a lot of moments where the animation. Oh, what are we doing? We forgot one. We forgot something. The part before Utah, this is very important. That Megumi's chasing after this girl, and then he
Oh
decides
yeah,
not to offer. At the very end, we get a glimpse of Angel, and that
yeah.
was huge.
I figured that's who that was.
Yes. So, I mean, obviously, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But yeah, so we get a glimpse of Angel, and I thought that scene was really cool too, the way that they did it. This episode for me, in terms of like art style and the OST and everything, it was just so beautifully done. It's another masterclass in like how Mappa does great work, and how the directive of JJK, like the director Gosha Zono, has just done so wonderfully in this season. I mean, I know some episodes aren't as like like super hype, like the murder of the Zenin clan, or some other episodes in the season, but this one was really good. So yeah, I really enjoyed this episode, and I can't wait for the next one. It's going to be balls to the wall, because I think that's important to talk about. The next episode, I believe it's the last one for the season,
Okay.
for this part of the season. It's going to be, and it's confirmed, 27 minutes long.
Oh, jeez. So when this part ends, is it how long did they say how long it'll take for part two?
Minimum till January 2027. Yeah.
Wow, Karen. Like
Yeah.
I thought you when you said minimum, I thought you were gonna say the end of the year. I was like, that's pretty long. But you said January for just part two. That's actually insane.
Yeah, dude. But here's what I'm going to say. I'll let them have it, because I know that second part is going to drop. It's going to be cool to go through season 3 part 1 again, and by the time that part 2 is going to drop, I think we'll be able to rewatch part 1 dubbed, and it'll be cool to see it from that perspective, and then get into part 2 fully recharged with all that's happened.
I mean, yeah, I
So
guess
yeah.
that's fair.
So yeah. I thought it was a great episode. I can't really say much else. Uh writers, make sure to let us know what you thought about episode 11, and yeah, leave it down in the comments below. Now we're going to get into our nerd news and stuff that
I
we may have watched during the week. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that I really love the when they step up on their animation and stuff like that, like the fluidity in the beginning of their
Mm,
fight. Like it was the way he was getting punched, like stuff like that. The animation, like sometimes I forget, like not forget, but like Mappa really does their thing, man. They really
yeah.
do their thing because the fluidity
We
was just amazing.
Yeah, I think we haven't seen that type of animation. Well, technically, I think we saw it in the episode for Maki's episode, but I think before
Yeah,
that it was
still
the
Mappa.
fight. Yeah, it was the fight between Sukuna and Maharaga was the last time we saw animation like that, with like that sort of
Oh
flowy vibe.
yeah, the flowy vibe.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, let's roll into nerd news and stuff that we've seen during the week. I'll start us off because I don't really have much.
Mm.
At least with nerd news, and then we'll talk about, I'll leave my segment of what I've seen to the end. So we got a trailer this past week, which was for Spider-Man Brand New Day. And
Yeah.
some people are losing, are losing their minds a little bit with that trailer. So I saw it. I need to watch it again. But there were a lot of characters, right? We had obviously the Punisher, we had the Hand, we had a couple others. I think Who was that? It was it Vulture?
Are you Scorpion?
Scorpion. Thank you.
Uh,
Jesus. Sinister Six. Sorry.
uh,
But anyways, yeah, there were a couple of characters in there, and then there's a lot of people pointing to the fact that this trailer is alluding to a certain story in Spider-Man. And so a lot of people are I don't know if they're excited, I don't know if they're worried. I haven't read that comic, so I
you
really
talk about
wouldn't
the
know.
one where he turns into a monster, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I haven't read it, but I've heard it's pretty intense. So I don't know. I don't know what to feel about that. But that is all the nerd news that I have this week. I'm sorry, I know it's not much. But mainly we're focusing on talking about the episodes of things we're following along with, and then the nerd news will be minimal. We're gonna try that for a little bit to see if that sort of template works for us. Now,
I'm
that's all for
excited for the
me.
movie, though. I am.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. I mean, I'm gonna watch it. But that's all for me for nerd news. Carlos, you have the floor.
All right, so I only got two nerd news for you guys. One pretty simple and one very exciting. One is they finally. Last time we explained this on the nerd news, they only had Daphne, but now they finally have the full cast for Scooby Doo
Ooh.
already signed up. To be honest, just like Daphne, it's a bunch of new kids. Um, Back then they were in stuff. There was like minor roles and things like that. So this is kind of like their like sort of big breaks type of moment. So it's a lot of newcomers, which is great because that way you're not distracted by the actor themselves, and you can sort of get like a fresh glimpse. They're all young, because this story that they're gonna release is an 8-part, an 8-part episode. I mean, 8 episodes of one season. I'm assuming each episode is probably like 40 minutes long. And they meet in camp. So when they meet in camp, it's strange, the synopsis, because the only people who have started out as actual friends is Shaggy and Daphne, which
Mm.
kind of odd, not who I expected would start out as friends. And then they meet up with Velma, who they always thought is the weird kid because she's like the nerdy girl, and she helps out because there is a murder mystery happening at camp. And they also get help from the newcomer in school, the new kid, which is Fred. He's described as like really handsome.
Mm.
Um, and when they try to see if they can get a witness for this murder mystery, whatever, the only witness they have is a young puppy Great Dane, which obviously everyone can already guess
Obviously.
how that's going to work out. So that's the
Yeah.
synopsis of the full 8 episodes. Yeah, there's no release date yet because they just got the casting, so they have to start, filming now. So we don't know
Mm.
exactly when it'll get released. I'm assuming sometime next year. So I'm excited. I think it's Scooby Doo is pretty cool. We haven't had a live action in a while, and this one's kind of starting from the roots. And I'm assuming if it becomes popular, they could probably keep going.
Okay. Cool.
And the last nerd news I have for you guys is one that's very exciting to me and probably exciting to Joseph as well. And that is Dark Horse is releasing a new miniseries, and Dark Horse is Dark Horse Comics, and it is called Beast of El Borinquen.
Oh.
And it's a 5-issue miniseries. It doesn't get released until July 1st. I'm just gonna read the synopsis real quick to you guys. In contemporary Puerto Rico, Loli Flores is a fierce activist fighting the development of the island by the outside investors when a groundbreaking ceremony is violently interrupted by a supernatural force. Loli discovers that the stories of El Chupacabra are not just echoes from the past, but true tales of a brutal protector of generations extending back to the indigenous people of the island. As Loli uncovers the horrors firsthand, El Chupacabra follows a parallel path, leaving an elemental destruction in his wake.
Wow.
So I thought
We
that was
got
pretty cool, dude.
we got Vigilante Chupacabra.
Yo, hey, represent.
Anti we have anti-capitalist Chupacabra. Sweet.
Uh,
Oh,
here, let
that's
me
pretty
go.
cool.
Yeah, let me go back to the God, what is it? It said it in the beginning here. My bad, guys.
You're fine.
Okay, so it is Julio Anta and Daniel Izarrea, and Julio Anta is actually an Elsner Prize winner for writing comics. So, and they're both Puerto Rican. They both
Nice.
expressed really large interest in this project, and the guy who's the artist, he loved the fact that he could just go back and like basically draw his island. So, in a way, when you read this comic, if you have someone who's from there, you're gonna look into the pages and be like, "Oh my god, I know where that is! Oh my god, I know where that is!" So, for us, I think it's gonna be very exciting. For those of you who don't know a lot about our culture or about our island, go ahead and pick it up. July 1st. I'm definitely going to be there picking it up myself.
Pick me up a copy. Anyways, yeah, that's awesome, dude. I think the representation is really cool to see for sure, especially in different spaces, different areas. Now, I had one more thing because I totally forgot. And it's the fact that we're actually, yeah, one thing in nerd news that I forgot, and it was the fact that we're getting in Magic, because I know I always talk about TCGs, and I'm gonna make it super quick. Uh, the new Strixhaven set is coming out, I think, next month. Yeah, I think it's set for next month. And there's this really cool bundle, which is like a book. It's like a tome, and it
Okay.
brings a couple of packs, two collector boosters, and then two out of six cards, which are like exclusive to that bundle, which are super cool. It's the talismans for different colors: a talisman of dominance, talisman of whatever, and then it has the different talismans, soul ring. And yeah, it looks super dope. So if you're excited about Strixhaven, I think that the new set is going to come as a hard hitter because they did so great with the lessons in the Avatar: The Last Airbender set that I think that they're going to really up their game for the lessons in Strixhaven, because that's where lessons, I believe, originally come from. And it's super exciting to see. And the last bit of what I want to say here is what I've watched this week, just to try to close out because we're extending this a little bit long. Is the fact I saw a show on Netflix called Radioactive Emergency. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
Radioactive Emergency. It's a situation that occurred in Brazil, and I mean, it was so crazy for me when I heard the like how this went down and sort of seeing the dramatization of how it went down. I guess these two dudes. I don't know if it was two. I don't know if it was more. I don't know if because obviously I'm going off of the TV show, not like what reports of what actually happened.
Right.
These two dudes roll into a abandoned hospital, into this room where they had radiological equipment. And basically they were like, "Oh, there's a machine here that's covered in lead. Let's take this machine and let's take it back to the scrapyard." They take the machine back to the scrapyard, they pop it open. Guess what's inside? Cesium-127, which is a highly radioactive material in the form of powder.
Nice.
And let's just look at this bright shining powder in the middle of the night. Let's take this stuff and roll around with it, give it to our kids, and throw it in the trash and in the drain, because I don't want to keep this weird dust anymore. It's making us, let's throw it down the water. Sorry, I don't mean that as any type of disrespect. I'm just saying it's so crazy to think how that came about, because obviously the fault goes to whoever it was who was in charge of when the hospital shut down, to take out all the equipment. That much is for sure. But it's like, I think you as a person, when you shouldn't fuck with certain things. And when I
Mm.
saw these two dudes pick up this machine and they're like, "Oh, it's covered in lead," it's probably a good idea to pop it open. I was like, no, 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 no. And so yeah, pretty crazy. Sort of, I don't know if I'd call it a docu series or a dramatization of, I don't know. The point is, it's a really informative show. For those of you who, if you didn't even know that that was a thing, it was, I believe, the worst radio, is it called a radiological event or radioactive event?
Yeah.
Outside of what is a nuclear power plant in the world.
Damn.
So yeah, so if you're interested in that stuff, make sure to give it a watch. Yeah. Anyways, with that being said, we're gonna close this out. And writers, let us know what you thought about anything we talked about today, whether it's JJK season 3, episode 11, whether it's any of the nerd news that we talked about, or any of the things we've watched. If there's any recommendations that you have of things that we should watch, please let us know down below. We're always on the lookout for cool new things to watch. And with that being said, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We always appreciate y'all. And till next time, y'all take care. Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.